Right.
Obviously, but I know you're not allowed to talk about that.
Yeah, there's certain things that I shouldn't. I mean, I know exactly where you are, and I could have a drone, there very quickly. So I
I,
wouldn't want to tell you certain things. I'm very careful about that.
there,
Don't
there
worry.
is a buzzing sound outside the window, and I was wondering what that was.
Oh yeah, that's probably just the nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tactical Gary, and today I thought I would do things a little bit differently. I'm going to do a live stream, and I've never done this before, so bear with me. Bear with me in terms of the technology, but I've actually somehow managed. Well, it's not a surprise. Uh, I have somehow managed to get one of the world's most impressive individuals on the planet to talk about the most tactical subject of the future, that is cyber security, cyber war, how to live online and survive and be tactical about it. So I have here Agent JS, uh, stands for Agent James Smith. I have to tell you, this individual, it's really kind of impressive resume. This individual has written so many technical papers, so many white papers on cyber. You'd probably have to tear an entire forest down just to print out all the papers that this man has written. This man has so many certificates. He has the CISSP plus plus CISMCSSC CEH certificate. He's the only human who has ever gotten that certificate. It's really impressive. So anyway, I don't want to waste any of his time. Uh, this man's time is he generally charges companies about $10,000 per minute. So I don't want to take time as money for this, very precious for this individual. So without any further ado, Agent JS, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Tactical Clear. Just first of all, love your show. It's great. It's very useful to me as somebody who's not very physical world. As you said, I spent a lot of time in the digital world, um, being secure, learning a lot from your show. I think it's a great value you put out there.
Well,
Especially love the unboxing because that reminds me of when I'm unboxing one of my uh, super secure cell phones or something like that. It's kind of the toilet paper unboxing. It felt the same.
well, you're not the only professional who works in the field who's reached out to me. It kind of comes with the territory being technical Gary. But anyway, Agent JS, have you ever thought about having a YouTube channel? Maybe you'd have video unboxing videos of opening up servers and super secure computers.
Mm, Probably not. The attack surface of YouTube is too high, and they don't do enough to it in terms of encryption at that level. So I wouldn't want to be traced. No.
So you're basically saying any individual who has a YouTube channel, there's a limit to how tactical they could possibly be.
Well, yeah. I mean, it kind of comes with the territory. You just like plugging in your into the cloud at all, having an account with anybody. You've opened yourself up for potential for attack. So, I mean, it's to be fair though. I mean, it's always a risk assessment. You're serving people, and you're not necessarily a high target. At this point, until SHTF scenario
SHTF,
hits,
that's right. Yep.
until that time hits, you're not going to be a big target because you become instantly valuable. Your stock goes from basically $1 to millions of dollars the day it hits. But before that, you're not a big target. They're not even thinking about you. So
Right.
you're providing a good service, and so the
So
value is worth the
yeah.
risk in the situation.
So what you're basically saying is that when SHTF finally hits, the Tactical Gary channel is probably going to have 1.5 million hits.
Yes, and then you're going to have to find a new place to go because you're going to be a big target at that point.
good point. This is a good point. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to rethink this whole thing. But anyway, I've been trying to figure this out because I'm looking through your resume. I'm looking through all your published publications, and it's a very long list. And what's interesting is I can't seem to find anything like a university you went to or where you used to. I mean, where do you? What city do you live in? Can you tell us that?
Oh, of course. It's Springfield.
Springfield. Okay. Well, anyway, I hope you can see my screen here. I'm sharing my screen. And as you can see here, I'm using my favorite browser, Internet Explorer. Windows, of course. Agent.js. I'm sure you have a similar setup. And as you can see, this is the home screen that came with the computer. With this computer. So let me go to my favorite search engine here. Bing. I hope you obviously all the agents use Bing, right?
Yeah, mostly Bing.io. Yeah.
All right, so let's see here. Trending now. What's trending on the tactical topics here? Tactical gear. I like that. Tactical tailor. What the hell? Tactical fiend. Oh my god. Let's just search tactical gear. Anyway, I just want something up there for people to look at. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, we need something a little bit better here. Tactical cyber. Let's see what comes up when we search tactical cyber. Is it even a look at this. This is interesting. There's really no interesting gadgets or high-tech equipment. Let's see if I search all. Obviously, well, there's a little bit of information about cyber operations, but Agent.js, I mean, should preppers and people who are in the tactical community, I mean, should they even really care about the cyber side of operations? How important is that in the grand scheme of things, different SHTF topics?
Well, basically, it's internet is basically running the world right now. So as soon as well, we can get into it later if you want, but as soon as a foreign power gets control of our internet, our power system, everything, like, what are we going to be able to do? It's like one of our most important pieces that we have to guard is the cyber side of things. Otherwise, how are we gonna be able to communicate?
Well, I mean, I have ham radio right now. I'm dialing into this, as you can tell from my superb audio quality. I'm actually dialing into Zoom. I've just figured this out through my ham radio, and to do that, my ham radio had to be within a mile. I grant that. I only have a 1 mile light, maybe 3 miles line of sight, but that's enough, right? I mean, I can reach out 1 to 3 miles, and I mean, there's no relay stations within that range, but it is what it is. But I mean, why not just use ham radio? Why do we care about the internet?
Well, like you said, when that SHFTF scenario hits, then ham radio becomes super important, of course. But until that point, if you're connecting to people who need to be tactical, they're still using traditional internet. So you still want to be able to have those secure communications, and you want to be able to reach new people who don't yet have ham radios, probably.
So let me ask you this, because I just thought of this. When SHTF finally arrives and the marauders start to organize and get together, as the magic prepper would say, marauders. But as the marauders start to collect and get together, do you think they're just going to be like in some disorganized groups of people, of individuals, of angry individuals? Or could they possibly go online and say, okay, where are we going to maraud? Let's use technology to pick the best possible locations. Now you kind of have my mind going here. I'm actually starting to get to think that the most important prepper topic, the most important SHTF tactical topic is tech, cyber, and the internet, and everything that interfaces with that vast, like you called it, an attack surface. I mean, it's massive. It's like an ocean.
Yeah. So there's two different angles you can answer that question. one angle that's already being exploited already is you can go on Facebook or whatever platform, social platform, and you can buy advertisements that are directly targeted at very specific people. And like so you could target somebody who has searched tactical or whatever in the last year, and you just pay, if you just pay something like Facebook, and they'll give you people, and then you connect with them. The other side of that is, you say marauders, just like you kind of where you were going with this more, bogies, I think you call them. The bogies,
Yes.
they're definitely using the cyber to find, like, people who they want to attack. They're looking for, people who don't follow good practices. Get some, they need money too. They need to fund their operations, so they can just steal some identities, steal some credit cards, do whatever they need when they need it. And so they can also play that same game of, okay, where do we, they don't, they're not doing it manually, of course, but they have scripts that go in and find the people that they want, and then their army of bots goes and steals their information that they need, and then they to fund their operation mostly. So then those bogeys then can then go after the actual targets that they want, whether it be the power grid or whatever in the physical world.
Well, I saw a survey recently, and it was a survey. They somehow targeted the bogeys, and they asked bogeys everywhere. They said, "What is your favorite bogey piece of software?" And it was, guess what it was? It was Google Maps. That's their favorite piece of software.
Right.
They probably use it. They probably use the satellite footage to figure out how to. Some people think they have this really secure bunker, this really secure location, and maybe they do. Maybe they only have one point of entry, but the bogeys also have the satellite imagery, and they can plan out how they might want to approach. Maybe there's only one point of entry, but at least they can at least figure out maybe there's some other ways to get through forests and things like that. It's very hard to keep people out of omnidirectionally out of your bunker, but not exactly the most sophisticated piece of software, but you could do a lot with that.
Right. That definitely useful, and definitely useful as a spying tool for finding out how people move, where they move, because that's all. Since all the information is collected by the phones and by the social media companies, Google's, and that's all collected and piped through the NSA, as everybody knows. I mean, that was
Right.
really Snowden. That's old news now, and those holes are never closed. The bogeys also have that information in their possession as well. They just take it from wherever they need to, from the NSA or whoever, and they also know the movements of people. I know not people like that, like Tactical Gary, because you're protecting yourself. I know that.
Right. I have 5 firewalls just wrapped around my Windows 95. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. So when you have that level of protection on such a high quality piece of operating system, you don't have to worry. But the people that don't know how to set up those protections and those firewalls, they're just sitting ducks, and they'd be easy targets. You don't need a sophisticated bogey. You get some of the newer bogeys. The guys in training can get those guys.
Wow. That's terrifying. That's terrifying. So I wanted to get your expert opinion on this, because I think about this a lot. I know that preppers are always thinking about bug out bags. They're always thinking about the get out of town quick bag, where you have just a few hours or maybe even a few minutes and you just got to bug out. And I always hear the bug out bag, it's got all the survival tool, which is good. Obviously, I carry all that. I have all that. It's got the water filter. It's got the, sort of the bricks and mortar prepper items. But I never hear people talking about how they're going to quickly grab their hard drive that has a backup of all their digital life. Like I'm always wondering, like, are they going to leave behind all their family photos that are they're millions of digitized pieces of information? And I never hear people mention that in the bug out bag. I never hear them talk about not only grabbing the hard drives, but Like, are they hard drives? Is it redundant? Is it backed up on the cloud? Technology can actually somehow, it has this magical, almost magical ability. I don't know if you probably don't think it's magical, but to someone like me, a less sophisticated guy, it's magical. That the more digital things become, the more resilient they become. It seems that way. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe things are all about to just fall apart. I don't know.
Right. So one thing you want to consider for your what do you say? What do you call it? Fallout bag?
Oh, bug out bag.
Bug out bag. Your bug out bag. One thing you should consider for your bug out bag is a magnetic tape. There's a company, three-letter company, large company. They just they were working with I forget the other company they're working with, but they're working on another company, and they have the largest storage possible on magnetic tape. So they're probably most likely they're programming in COBOL, and then
Right. Yep.
And then they push the data that they want, really important data, to this large data sets, but it's actually small. It definitely fit out in your bug out bag, and so you would have this magnetic tape, and you could probably you could have a probably like a 7-line COBOL program that's stored on your SD card, where you could then read from that tape and reproduce with a 3D printer whatever you needed.
This sounds cutting edge. This sounds like the most cutting edge technology I've heard in a long time, maybe in years. This COBOL based, like magnetic tape, mainframe based system. This is really fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, the technology has really come a long ways. I mean, you hear the mainstream gets you on these high end gaming systems and stuff like that, and it makes you think about that. But where the real future is things like COBOL and mainframes, that kind of stuff. Like I see you Googling it now. Yeah, like
Yep, Googling it on Bing, using Bing here.
Google.
I Google is an official verb, so I'm Googling it. I just happen to be using Bing while I Google it.
Yeah, so make sure check nice. If you like Bing, definitely have your listeners check bingit.io. Bingit.io, they have some really good clips for your
okay, well, I'll look at that. I'll save that for later. I'll look at that later, unless you recommend it now. But I'm looking at these mainframes. These look extremely tactical. Yeah, I would definitely, it may not fit in a bug out bag, but you definitely could. It definitely looks tactical.
Yeah, I mean, multiple uses too. I mean, just like stuff you could carry in there.
Yeah, you could fit some pepper spray right in here. You could hide pepper spray. I'm thinking you could probably hide some cans of tuna fish in there if you needed to. Yeah, these are excellent.
Ice cube trays too.
So yeah, look at this. This is cutting edge. Oh, old mainframe, vintage. What are they talking about? Yeah, look at that. Excellent.
And that's actually the magnetic tape that was invented. I mean, it's actually same stuff. They just made it
very nice.
For
nice.
The next era. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Now, I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, this is still used, is it not?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so there isn't even a hint of sarcasm in your voice.
Oh no, this isn't sarcasm.
There's a lot of young programmers out there right now that are laughing hysterically. They think we're joking about this stuff.
Right. Let me get you just a little bit more, because this just came out, and I'll get you a little bit more information on this. Fujifilm is the other company.
Look at this.
Yeah, 330 terabytes in a little small tape cartridge, magnetic.
Did you just say 330 terabytes?
Yeah.
I run into this problem all the time because I have so many files, tactical files, that I often have around 100 to 150 terabytes, and I have an array of about 25 very large capacity hard drives on my desk right now. It creates enough heat. I actually can use it to start a fire. I don't even need a fire starting kit. So you're saying I could use a tape drive, and it would just be it'd be like this entire table of hard drives in front of me right now.
Yeah, that's the one I found actually is old. I didn't realize it was old. There's a newer one. But
So
yeah, that's the basic idea. I just sent you secure communication a message about it.
okay, I just heard a beep. This app will self-destruct. Okay, I'm just reading this. IBM. Here, let me bing it. Let me bing this.
The newer one's actually 580 terabytes. One they just released today actually. Here's the newer one.
It must be huge. I mean, if this is 330 terabytes, this thing must be the size of a monster truck tire. I mean, I can't wait to see this thing.
The last one I just sent you, you'll like that one. Maybe this actually looks very tactical. You want to maybe pull up that guy, Dr. Mark Lance.
That's it. I gotta see this.
Yeah, I think take a look.
For some reason, this x86 Windows 95 computer running Internet Explorer is a little slow. Wow, look at this thing. So here's a chart. It's only 1,000 meters long. It has. I always hate this when they say the number of books stored is not an internationally recognized unit of measurement. It's like, what do they think we're talking to children? Are we supposed to be children here?
They should really talk if they're gonna be something that's universally understood. You talk in metric boatloads.
Yeah. Yep.
And then it's understood, and you can check because you can convert very easily from boatload to shipload to whatever you want.
Right.
So I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know why that they arbitrarily pick books.
It's like the news. Whenever they want to talk about how big a particular amount of money is, and they want it to sound like a lot, they'll say, if that was $100 bills, it would be stacked up to the moon or something like that. It's like, how does that really help me visualize what that number is?
Yeah.
But anyway.
True. People have how far the moon is.
Yeah, and I didn't really know where the moon was until I experienced it in virtual reality. I do a lot of VR simulations, tactical simulations. It's a very tactical looking suit, controllers, and it will put me in the solar system, and I will be everything is to scale in the sense that the Earth might be the size of a grape, but I can see the moon, and you can actually really get a good intuitive feel of how far apart the different planets are. And let me put it this way: if the moon was just in front of you, if it was the size of maybe like a marble or a grape, and you could picture like the Earth being a big marble, and then the moon being a smaller marble, they'd be really far apart. I mean, relative to their actual diameter, they're really far apart. They're not close. They're very distant. But then the sun and other planets look like they're like next door. I mean, it's ridiculously far away. So just a little sense of scale there, because I've lived it. I've lived the solar system. I've been there. I've done that. So just a little aside. But back to cyber. Well, actually, relative. I mean, cyber touches everything. Cyber goes into space. I remember hearing about a plan for Bitcoin. Someone was talking about how can you make Bitcoin resilient to everything. And even acts of governments or acts of God, where you could potentially just have a satellite network running Bitcoin. It wouldn't perform well, but you could do it in theory, or maybe it could perform well. If something works, the next 4 generations later, maybe it works fast.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I want to bring this back to you, because honestly, I'm trying to really figure out more about you. You're kind of this mysterious figure, And every time I've asked you in other conversations, you're very evasive about your past. So I'm just going to try to dig a little bit more and try to figure out who you really are. Um, and I'm going to ask you this question: have you ever do you deal with bogeys in your day job?
Yeah, all the time.
All right, so I think we're starting to get a little bit more of a picture of well, actually, we're really not. We really don't know anything about you. So what? I'm trying to think like a bogey, and I'm trying to think attack surface, and I'm thinking someone who is using, Windows 10, Intel. I mean, if you, I'm thinking, why is that why is that less secure than say a Mac? And is it really just because there's more people using the Windows 10? So if you're a bogey, you're like, hey, I might as well learn how to hack those. There's more people there. There's 10 times more people, 10 times bigger attack surface with the same tools.
Right. I mean, that's a big part of it. That's been a, for a long time. That's kind of been the case. Where we're kind of seeing now is everything's kind of moved to the cloud, so it doesn't really matter that much what you're like. You talk about like Mac or Windows, or even maybe even some more techie guys might be running something like a Linux. It doesn't these days. It doesn't really matter because most actual people have moved to the cloud, and they're using like smartphones, which are very hackable. It's producing a lot of data that's just like kind of just going out there, and it's kind of like designed that way. Like they're by design, it's meant to, um, you know, broadcast GPS, so location. So like if you're thinking tactically, and like even just like moving around how it's positioned, it's connected. Unless you go to great lengths, you're connected to any one of the big companies, Google, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft. You're always connected to those companies, and that's connected to the NSA, which, as I said, the bogies have the data, so they know what you're thinking. Basically, they know you don't. It's not just what you're putting into it. They know what you're thinking because they're reading the brain waves. I mean, obviously, somebody tactical like you knows that these smartphones reading your brainwaves. I mean, they're not broadcasting that they're doing that. They don't. But that'll come out. It's just like the aliens, the UFO stuff will come out. I mean, in time, we've all known about it. The smartphones reading your brainwaves and knowing your thoughts, so they can figure out what you're doing. That's pretty well known.
Right, and that's why I tell everyone in your bug out bag include some aluminum foil so you can make an aluminum hat. Because, and again, I mean, there's not even a hint of sarcasm in our voices. I think a lot of people are going to think that we're joking about this. We don't joke about things like COBOL.
No, definitely not.
Look at this, 330 terabyte, and it's a cassette. I mean, I have a cassette next to me here of Lionel Richie, and I don't think it's 330. I mean, it definitely is pretty bad quality. I don't think it's 330 terabytes of audio. I mean, imagine if you could have an audio format that a typical song was 330 terabytes. Imagine how good quality that would be.
Yeah, the quality in analog is still way
Probably
better than digital.
Yeah, it probably would just be analog at that point.
Yeah, that's why people like records. It sounds better.
Well, it sounds better to people whose ears can hear those ranges. When you're tactical Gary and you've had so many loud explosions near your ears, I mean, I'm half deaf to begin with. So, but you're right. To most people, they can tell the difference.
Yeah, forget about those things. That's why I love watching your videos on stuff like that, because I get a sense of what's going. Like I'm not gonna go anywhere near these kind of things. I got bots that can do this stuff, but I'm not gonna touch it.
Right. You don't even have to barely lift. You have bots doing everything for you, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? Like I mean, you can, like Boston Dynamics made some pretty cool dogs, but I mean,
right. So, see, what you have is even better.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you can write it yourself, it can be a lot more custom and a lot more, lot more tactical, if you want to say. Like
Yeah.
I think that's how I really found you, because most of my searches on Bingo.io include tactical in the search. So that's how I came
Right.
across your YouTube channel one day, just trying to kill some time
I
while
think
my COBOL program is compiling.
it turns out my ad campaign worked out, because what I actually paid Google ads to do is to advertise my videos anytime that someone searched the phrase the Cisco CWDM OADM multiplexer. And it's a 4-port multiplexer. And I added the word tactical to that. So anyone who searched that with tactical would see an ad for one of my videos.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you invested the money, because it was definitely been worth my time watching your videos, because even the fastest computers I got going definitely take some milliseconds to compile some of this COBOL code. And so I can watch it at 10x 100x speed sometimes, and actually do something useful instead of just waiting for that milliseconds to compile.
Well, it probably depends on how many energy drinks you've had that day.
Yes. Energy drinks turned out to be somewhat useful, but if you actually pump it directly via IV, it actually turns out to be a little bit more effective. So I've been doing that lately.
Interesting. That's interesting, because I've been thinking about this, because I'm a big coffee drinker. I've drank coffee for many years. And Carl from the Tactical Rifleman YouTube channel, what he did, he was a special ops guy. And when he was overseas doing operations, he switched to the chocolate covered espresso beans. And he did that, he said, for various tactical reasons. Go watch his video. I don't want to steal his content. But I thought to myself, wow, more than one ways to consume your, caffeine, whatever it is. And I never thought of having an IV in my bug out bag.
It's almost a necessity, especially if you're going to be coding in COBOL. I mean, you're going to need
right. If you're going to be sitting at a terminal, which only has green and yellow color, and if you're going to be sitting there for 25 to 30 hours at a time, yeah, I mean, you don't need to get up to get a glass of water. You just have that IV. This is giving you fluids. It's giving you the right level of potassium. It's keeping you optimal.
Right.
A lot of people are probably thinking Tactical Gary and Agent JS, there they go again with their humor bit. But there is nothing, there's no joking going on here. In fact, I would say that in the entire Tactical Gary channel, you can pretty much guarantee you're never going to see anything that's a joke. Everything is deadly serious. And why not have the next generation, as just Apple's products begin to monitor your health closer and closer, why wouldn't they begin to introduce therapeutics that can monitor and provide the therapeutic all in one device? Why wouldn't it be hooked up to IVs that would be hooked directly into your bloodstream? I mean, why not? If you had a device that was on your wrist, and like in your, it's in your bug out, you take it out of the bug out bag, put it on your wrist, and it monitors your hydration level, and then you can have that feedback. Why not? Why isn't that going to happen?
So what?
Well,
so
it already happened, obviously.
Right.
But I know you're not allowed to talk about
that. Yeah, there's certain things that I shouldn't. I mean, I know exactly where you are, and I could have a drone, there very quickly. So I wouldn't want to tell you certain things. I'm very careful about that.
There is a buzzing sound outside the window, and I was wondering what that was.
Oh yeah, that's probably just nothing.
I unmuted myself. But wait, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I muted myself and I didn't know how to unmute myself.
That's the most secure most secure setting.
Well, that's good. That's good. I'll use that as a bit. Is this? Let me just make sure this is still record. It's still recording.
Is this thing on? Is this thing on?
Yeah. I unmuted myself. So anyway, Agent JS, I wanted to ask you about this because I have a lot of regular folks who watch the Tactical Gary channel. Not everyone is a highly decorated veteran of the cyber industry, we'll say, like Agent JS. So what are some things that the average prepper, the average tactical person, average viewer of Tactical Gary's YouTube channel might be interested in knowing about?
What actually is very effective at slowing down good bogeys and stops a lot of the trainee bogeys is if you just add a second factor or second factor or more, but second factor alone is solid. And the second factor you want to use is hardware second factor, something like a Ubico key. You can pull up one of those on the screen if you want to for your
Ubiquity
key. Yeah, you or Y you. It's I guess it starts with a Y. Ubico.
Oh, I thought it was like the word ubiquitous, but you. Do you want to share your screen?
Oh, I can share briefly here.
Do you have permission? Are you you're on a virtual machine, so you're going to destroy it after this anyway, right?
Right. Yeah, but I still have to put the layers in to allow you to be able to see it.
At least 50 layers. At least 50 VPNs.
At your location. So I need to put those coordinates. Okay. Yes.
It still bothers me. You know exactly where I am, and the humming sound outside my window has only gotten louder.
Right. Yeah. No. It's actually not getting closer. You're actually accurate. That you're here better than you think. It is just getting louder. It's intimidation tactics they use. You have to stop sharing so I can share.
Oh, okay. Right. Let's see. Stop share. Okay. So now it's showing your screen. It says Agent JS. I don't even know how you got. Wow, look at that. That's a pretty high tech. This is folks. This is folks. This is a rare peek into what it's like to look at the screen if you're Agent JS. I can't believe we're seeing this right now. This is a big moment in not just YouTube history, but cyber history, in world history.
Right. It's kind of a good point. I want to pull this up for your audience. This is actually the moon landing. It's digitally encoded, of course. So I just wrote while we were talking, I was writing some cobalt because we talk at such a slow rate and my brain works so much faster. So I had to be doing something, and so I said, okay, how can I show that's kind of cool for this audience? Something cool. We're talking about the moon, and kind of just came out. And here's the
right.
So you're seeing the moon just landed right there. One small, you know the rest.
I think I just saw the golf ball hooked to the right a little bit. You need air pressure for. Anyway, yeah. So this is amazing. I can't believe this. Yeah, I mean it makes sense. Your brain is just starving for information, for digits, for ones and zeros at all times, for trillions of data points.
Right. Otherwise it actually sometimes with not enough IV pumping into it, it'll just go to sleep, and like it's inefficient. That's inefficient times. So
yeah, it's remarkable. Yeah, so that is excellent advice, because a lot of times people think that they're a prepper, they think that they're tactical, they think that they are ready for any bogey coming in, whether the bogey's coming in at 3 o'clock, whether the bogey's coming in at 9 o'clock, or if the bogey's coming in at 6 o'clock, or even multiple bogeys with multiple lethal weapons. They're ready for that. But what they're not ready for is the fact that their super ultra secure phone. I mean, I'm guilty of this too, Agent JS. I have the most secure phone that let's just say you can, well, you can't buy it as a civilian, but I have the most secure hardware phone you can imagine. I mean, this thing, it's written in COBOL. Every component is written in COBOL. The phone itself is unhackable. But here's the problem, and this goes back to what you were saying earlier. I have to prove that my kid is one of their friends wants to be their friend, I have to use the Facebook app. So on this ultra secure device, I have the Facebook app running. And the phone itself is like $50,000. And I'm thinking to myself, when I install that Facebook app, I pretty much wasted that whole 50,000, didn't I? I just basically threw 50,000 into the garbage, didn't I?
Right. You didn't put those 3 layers of virtual machines that I told you to put on there first.
No, it's just on the I have the Facebook and TikTok, and
Right.
and I installed the Huawei drivers by accident.
Right. So there's one thing that we can do, but I can't talk about on air. I actually can talk about you personally, but we couldn't talk about this one on air. So there's one thing you can do.
Really? So it's not a hopeless situation?
No, fortunately, some with some connections with some of the code that we have that we just wrote, we should be able to do a little workaround.
We wouldn't want to have an SBHTF situation. That is a security breach hits the fan scenario.
Oh,
so
no,
we don't want to have one of those.
No, whenever I think that might be happening to you, since this is important that you're protected, so I have something to do in my my code's compiling. I make sure that I turn up the intimidation drone aspect is louder so that you don't make those mistakes. So
yeah, it just got a little bit louder. Yeah, it's getting a little warm in here. I think that you're also messing around with my thermostat, which of course is a smart thermostat. So it's unencrypted. It's open. Anyone within a certain radius of my house can probably change the temperature of my house, but it is what it is.
Right. It's important because that's very tactical too. I mean, if I really wanted to question you, I wouldn't do it myself, of course. But if I really wanted to question you, we would plan it out so that you would, be as you. I won't even say it because you know how you would interrogate somebody way better than our team here.
Well, that is true. That is true. Yeah, but I have a feeling that whereas I am limited to just simply using conventional interrogation tactics and methods and looking in their eye, I have a feeling that you're running multiple high resolution videos of the person where an AI program is looking for tells. Because again, you got like 15 different video games and operations and COBOL screens, and you got so much going on. You don't have time for that.
Right. So, for your audience, you can think of it as kind of like when you go into those virtual worlds. I like when you go into the virtual worlds. It's really kind of cool. What we've been developing, which is, I'm going to let it out for your audience. It's pretty not talked about too much in the industry.
This is a world first, folks. This is a world premiere of this information.
Yeah. So we simulate. We pull basically. So like, remember the other day you had that weird feeling coming out of your brain area. We pulled the consciousness out of you, and now we can use that. Yep. We can use that for simulation purposes. So we simulate your consciousness in the different worlds, and then we can figure out which tactical work. And I'm trying to explain it simply, but that's actually it's running millions of simulations a second, and it's determining the best way to interrogate you. And so then we can then have some of our kind of more tactical guys go in, interrogate with that information in real time. Basically figuring out through the simulation how your consciousness would respond to different scenarios.
So what it sounds like is that if you can simulate it, if you can get the simulation to capture something that's from real life, if you can get that simulation fast enough, then when you talk about real time, you're talking about billions of years of simulation time happening in seconds. So it's not real time, but it's so close to real time because for every second that goes by, you have billions of years of simulations running. And the simulations are so close to real life. I mean, we're talking quantum computer next gen stuff that you can't even talk about. I mean, what the public gets is a joke. I mean, you're playing with this stuff. The public gets Siri. They can't even understand half of what I tell it. So when I tell it to shop on Bing, it thinks I want to go to some Yahoo News or something like that. So it's clueless. But
the closest thing maybe some of your audience may have heard about in a theoretical way is you've heard of multiple or infinite universes theory, where you have different universes all playing out. We wanted to bring that into a reality the closest thing that we could do to given the current limitations of technology, like you said, quantum
right.
mechanics.
So what you're saying is you're taking advantage of the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, and you're using that to do tactical simulations, war games. You're basically doing next gen war games where you're saying every possible war, every possible outcome. Even you're not even saying every possible war. You're questioning basic things about war itself.
Right. It's again tactical. Your first question would have been more strategic and why bother? So we're staying very tactical in this endeavor.
Well, I don't want to give any credit to my idiot cousin, Strategic Gary. That guy, I finally got him out of my house anyway. So I digress. But yeah, let's not give that guy any credit. But yeah, tactical. That's fantastic advice, folks in the audience. Always get that second factor. Don't just have a password. Passwords are I mean, even if you had a password that was 300 characters long, and somehow you could remember that somehow, maybe it's some song that you've memorized or something. If you knew how fast Agent JS could, how fast could you break that? Do you think?
Oh, it's not hard because I know what song you're thinking about right now. It's not that complicated to traverse into it. I digress.
Yeah, that's fascinating. That's very fascinating. Yeah, that's good. I once went to a convention. It was a tactical gear convention. It was specifically on bayonets, Bayonet Fest 2019. And next door to it was this high-tech cyber convention, and all the cyber experts were in there. And I was talking to this guy in the hallway, and I said, "How many factors?" Because he's a guy like you, maybe not as decorated, but there's a lot of stuff that he a lot of alphabet soup type. He was let's just say he was having alphabet soup for lunch, and I asked him. I said, "How many factors of authentication do you use for your cell phone?" And he said 8. And I said, "Wow, what's the 8th?" And he said, "Oh, it's this computer chip that's embedded in my left hand." So yeah, I see what you're saying. You said make that extra factor something that isn't just, it's not easy to get to. Is that the idea? Or
yeah, because it's people that have dabbled in second factors probably get like a text message from their bank or something like that, and that's the worst because I think that's well known. It just feels like well known to me that the cell network can easily take a copy of your SIM from the network, and they can get the text message. They can be the second factor very easily and way faster than you can look at your phone and type in the code. They've already stolen it, and they've already changed your account and taken all your money. So
that happened to, yeah, I know someone that who had that happen to them. I couldn't really figure it out, but their whole life was turned upside down. Their bank accounts, everything compromised. Everything.
Yeah, it's become more common, and then they can, and the apps that came along slowed some people down for a while, but I mean, it's definitely always going to be a game of escalation. So like somebody who has high value, high target, they need to have 88 factors minimum. That's what we recommend. But I mean, if you're low target, if you get 2, I mean,
Yeah.
you're looking in pretty good shape if those two are good.
Wow. So the difference between 1 and 2 isn't just like twice as good.
Oh no. You're looking at it probably 9,000 times better.
Wow, 9,000 times. Wow. Yeah, it's like this guy right here.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got to keep these bogeys away. These bogeys, all these bogeys on the screen. I searched on Bing. I searched the word hacker, just so that we could get some. Now, what happens if I go to maps, and I give my location here? So, anyway, so
Internet Explorer crashed.
Unfortunately, Internet Explorer is crashing. Hacker. So on Bing, this is how good Bing is. This is how sophisticated the Bing audience is. When you type in hacker, the suggestions are things like hacker simulator, hacker game, hacker prank simulator. So you can simulate hacker pranks. That's how advanced Bing is. It's very specific. Yeah. So let me so Agent JS, I know that like I said earlier in the call, you charge about $10,000 per minute, but I've been able to secure you for this amount of time. I know that we're getting close. We've probably extended our time, so I'm going to have to probably send you. I'm basically going to have to wire you a very large check, aren't I?
Well, we can work it out. Like, remember how I was talking about that super secret stuff I was working on, and you were gonna give me some of your tactical gear that would strap onto that. And when when that when that spins around and causes the the ground and the earth and the light waves to
Right. Yep. Agent JS. Wait. Agent, can you hear me? Agent, did you mute yourself? Agent JS. So wait, folks, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting a secure text through my this communication device. It says, "Oh my God, seems like the line has been cut." According to Agent JS, by line cut, we're talking about the actual line that goes under the ocean that carries the internet across the ocean. That was actually physically cut. So right now, Europe is dark. Europe is out. Europe's off. The internet is out. Oh my! Basically, SHTF has started. Well, if SHTF is starting, I think Agent JS is going to have a lot of work to do. He's probably going to be up late, or maybe he'll just have his bots take care of it. So anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed this interview. We're going to do more interviews in the future. We're going to have more celebrated experts, world-class authorities on technological topics, cyber. It's one of the most underestimated topics in prepping and being tactical. A lot of these guys, they're amazingly tactical when it comes to the bricks and mortar world, but when it comes to the world of the digital, they may be just as exposed as as their grandmother who leaves their doors unlocked basically at night and has no ability to defend herself and has no lethal and non-lethal weapons, doesn't even carry a pepper spray. It doesn't even have a lot of canned fish. Anyway, I digress. So anyway, folks, I hope that if there's one thing we learned today from Agent JS, it's that we should always remember. Oh, wait, actually, I'm getting another text here from Agent JS. It says, it says, stay tactical.